When I was pregnant, my mum was like, "You know that Rocky and Ruby can't raise this child." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, why can't they? Like, why else would we have a big age gap, Pauline?"
Why do you parent like that?
Surprise, it's me again. I mean, I guess it's probably not really a surprise, but hi, it's me. It's Abby Harrison, the host and creator of Why Do You Parent Like That? So nice to meet you. I am a perinatal and women's health social worker, but I'm currently on paid parental leave with my 7-month-old. This podcast features a new guest who is a parent every week, and every week I ask them the same 5 questions. Although, spoiler alert, we only have 2 episodes left of season 1, and the questions are going to be changing for season 2. Ooh, so watch this space because that's the first time I've told people about that. Follow me on social media, on all the things, on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and Substack. Basically, I put chaotic updates about my life on there, and you get to know me a little bit more, and you get to find out about guests and all these cool, exciting things that are happening. They all go onto my social media first. So if you want to be the first to know things, that's where you find it. Speaking of my Instagram, I have been fundraising for Gaza. I had already committed that I was going to donate the July earnings from the podcast, so that's all the ad revenue and the Substack money was all going to go to Gaza, and I put a call out to ask brands and creators to match my donation, and so many people have come through to the point that we're at about $6,500 at the time of recording this, but so many brands have agreed to match my donation, and my donation increases with the amount of streams of this podcast because that's how much money I get from ad revenue is based on streams. So if you would like to raise more money for Gaza and you don't have the means to do so at the moment, feel free to stream this podcast. I don't care if you listen to it or not. I don't care if you listen to it on 5 times speed. I don't care. Just stream, and that will put my donation up, which means more people will match my donation. More money for Gaza. It's a great thing. This week on the pod, this episode is Rebecca J Keil, who is bloody fantastic, guys. I could have talked to her forever, and I did talk to her for a long time, as you can tell based on the length of this episode. But the thing about the length of this episode is that I kept in the secret 6th question because her answer was so fantastic, and I just felt like it was an answer that everyone needed to hear, and it felt weird putting it behind a paywall. So I've kept it in. So everybody gets to hear the secret 6th question this week. You get a sneak insight to what you get if you're a Substack subscriber. Also, if you are a Substack subscriber and you're like, what secret content do we get this week if everyone gets to hear the secret 6th question? Don't panic, because I am actually going on a trip to Parliament this week with my friend Sophie Moskowitz from Imperfect Parents for a perinatal mental health breakfast at Parliament. Very lucky to be tagging along on that trip, and I will film some fun content with Sophie. I promise that you will see something exciting that nobody else will get to see, and it will probably be me and Sophie doing something crazy. Something to note about this episode is that Max joins us about halfway through. She woke up from her nap annoyingly early, so for the visual listeners, my video will cut out while Max is on the screen just to protect her wee face and her privacy, and then my video will come back once I had put her down to, she just like played on the floor next to me for a while. So I think it'll be about 5 minutes that my face will be gone, and then my face will come back, and that is why, because I want Max's little face to stay hidden. I think that is everything from me this week. If you're interested in keeping up with the Gaza fundraiser, etc., follow me on social media. And as per usual, please send this podcast around. If ever there was a time, this is the time to send it around to get those streams up. We have a few more days left in July, and as you've got until July 31st to stream as much as you can. So send it around, send it to your friends, send it to parents in your life, and encourage them to stream too. And I think that's all. Love you. Say it back.
Why do you parent like that?
Today's guest is someone who manages to be both deeply real and deeply funny at the same time, and who makes thousands of people online feel a little less alone just by being exactly who she is. Rebecca J Keil, or at Rebecca J Keil if you've ever been comforted or called in by one of her Instagram posts, is a mum of 3, a writer, a content creator, and someone who's been documenting life online in all its raw, honest, beautiful mess for years now. Whether she's talking about mental health, parenting, rage, postpartum realities, or body autonomy, Rebecca brings a kind of honesty that feels like a deep breath. In recent years, she's shared her journey as a surrogate, which she documented with the same openness, clarity, and huge heart that she brings to everything else she does. Her family is also on a journey of reo Māori revitalisation, and she's been beautifully open about what it looks like to weave Te Ao Māori into everyday family life, imperfectly, intentionally, and with so much love. So Rebecca, welcome to the podcast.
Kia ora, thanks for having me.
Lovely to have you.
That was so nice.
I always joke that I like to shower people with compliments and like really just kind of warm them up, and they tell me all the good stuff. Cool. So if people haven't met you on the internet yet, would you like to give yourself a little introduction?
Yeah, so I am, like Abby said, I'm a mum of 3. They are 11, 9, and 3 years old. So we are in the thick of many different stages of parenting currently. Well, I'm a content creator. I kind of more refer to myself as an influencer because I think there's a lot of skill to content creation, and I am like an OG influencer, and I'm just like out there throwing stuff together. I do that full time though. That's my full time income. So yeah, I've done it for, I also call myself a geriatric influencer. I've been doing this for a very, very long time.
I love that term.
Yeah. I also dabble in comedy as well. So I, for the past like 7, 8 years, have done nationwide tours, just self-proclaimed comedian, just organizer and turn up and do that. It's all parenting based humor. The whole if you don't laugh, you cry, you'll laugh scenario. And I have a husband, and I have shared our lives on the internet for a very long time now. I was probably the first wave of mummy bloggers is what we started as in New Zealand. Yeah, I've been around, and that's kind of me in a nutshell, I guess.
Cool. Yeah. How long have you been on influencer band for?
So I started blogging when mummy bloggers were very cool, when I was pregnant with Ruby. So she turns 10 in a couple of months. So
wow,
like 9 years? Legitimately, this is where I'm like geriatric. I remember like when Instagram started, like it was not I don't think people realize wasn't that long ago.
No.
So I remember like my first post. I remember the transition from blogging to like Instagram. I was also on Facebook as well, but now am not. But that was obviously around before Instagram. And so I've been doing it for like roughly 10 years. Yeah, coming up. Yeah, probably coming up 10 years. Yeah.
And what did you do before influencing?
So before influencing, I was makeup artist. So I
cool.
Raging ADHD, and when I left school I didn't know I had ADHD then. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew, I don't know, you're just meant to do something, right? So I just like literally remember like Googling stuff like what can I do, and I found a makeup course and I went to Auckland and did that straight out of high school. And then I worked in the, I guess, cosmetic industry till I had Rocky. So for not ages, because I had him when I was 22. Maybe like 5 years I worked as a makeup artist and various counters and things like that. So yeah.
Nice. And then let me get the kids straight in your head. You've got Rocky, Ruby, and Aggie. Is that right?
Yes. Yep. So we've got Rocky is 11, so he's 12 this year. Ruby's 9, turning 10 this year, and Aggie is turning 4 this year. So we've got so Rocky and Ruby are 22 months apart, and then Aggie, Rocky is 8 years apart. Aggie, Ruby is 6 years apart. So
wow. And did you do your surrogacy in between Ruby and Aggie?
Yes. So the surrogacy fits between Ruby and Aggie. So I had 2 babies within a year when I had the surrogate and Aggie. So I gave birth to the surrogate. So Ziggy is his name. I gave birth to him. I think I gave birth to him either on the 20th or the 15th of November. I should know this. And then I had Aggie on the 5th of November the following year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like just within the year which is so funny.
Quick turnaround. Yeah.
Well,
oh my god. Yeah, funny now, maybe not funny at the time.
Yeah, well, at the time it was kind of like I either like we waited and I let my body recover, or we let the age gap, but then the age gap would get bigger, or we just like smashed it out for better terms, and just kept that. Didn't, I was worried about getting too far out of that kind of like pushing that age gap out and being like, what have we done?
Yeah.
So
and also I think there is an argument for like, we're already in it, let's just keep going, and just while we're here, like, why not? Yeah. I think there's I understand that mentality. We'll jump straight into the questions because we're kind of chatting on it anyway, which the first question is, tell me about your journey to becoming a parent.
So myself and my husband, I guess what you'd class as childhood sweethearts, we have been dating on and off since we were like 14, 15. So I love the on and off. People always get freaked out by that. And I'm like, no, like it's fine.
You're like, also fine. High school relationship, it's hardly going to be like smooth sailing.
We broke up more than we were together in high school, but we started dating. I like to say that. We started dating when we were like 14, 15. And so we had Rocky when we were 22. So like reasonably young, and that was the start of my mothering and our parenting journey. Jared was in the army at the time. We lived in Palmerston North, and it definitely wasn't easy. We had no money, no family around us, and
that is so hard for you too.
We're pretty young, so we were just like figuring it all out, but survived it and then we had Ruby, like I said, they're 22 months apart, so we had Ruby, a couple of years after that. He was obviously very, not obviously, people plan to have children at that age, but he was unplanned. I had
for you guys, not planned.
Yeah. No, I had an IUD in, so I was like absolutely, just super shocked. Super shocked at that. Yeah,
I'm always so sad for people who have IUD babies, because I'm like, you went through getting an IUD and then it didn't even work. It's so freaking rough.
So I had a copper IUD, so it wasn't like the hormone releasing Marina. It was copper IUD, and I loved it. So I was real gutted. I was like, this is great. And I wasn't, but like, I was like, this is the best birth control. And then I got knocked up. So so then we planned to have Ruby. We always thought we would only have the 2 kids. So my theory was like, we'll just bang them out and be done with it. Like a newborn's a bit shit, a toddler's a bit shit. Let's just like do it. Let's just do it all together and be done with it.
Let's just be in the shits for a while. Yeah.
At that point, when I was very heavily pregnant, we moved to Christchurch. My husband left the army and joined the police. So we were able to kind of go somewhere, and we chose Christchroach where my family is, so that we had help. We had a village, and and honestly, right? It's so rough, doing those.
I don't know how people do it. We are like outrageously lucky. We're 10 minutes away from both sets of parents, and we are like heavily reliant on them. I don't know how people do it without family.
We're super. When we live in Christchurch, we have my parents live on our property. Like we have like everything. We moved a 2-bedroom tiny house into our backyard, down the back of our backyard. Perfect. So that they live with us. And we currently live in Auckland just temporarily, and we have only got Jared's like 80-year-old grandmother, so we have got no family here. And so it's been quite cool though. Like I think that, like you just said, you're very reliant on your parents, and I am also, but I also am real like stoked with myself. I'm like, oh my God, we've done it. Like we can do this.
Doing it.
So it's been quite, I think, who knows when we go back, if I like to think that I'll be like, I don't need you. Like I do.
Super mum.
But I don't need you for everything.
Like I need you in that I love to have you around, but I don't need you.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping that but I also feel like I'll go straight back to like, Mum, can you just pick this kid up? Or Mum, can you just do this? Or, you know, like.
It's like when you leave home for uni and then you come home for the uni holidays and you immediately revert back to your like 15-year-old self.
I know. And then we've got Aggie, who is 3, and she's so great. We just like.
She is one of my favourite parts of Instagram is Aggie.
God. She's amazing. Like, she's just the sassiest, but also the most caring, like, cool kid. We've hit the, like, toddler jackpot. Like she's been amazing
Love
right from birth. She's just so cool. And I think it's really special. I loved our close age gap with Rocky and Ruby, but I think I probably look down on people that have these big age gaps. Like, why would you do that? Like, you know, just get your life back. Like, I always thought it'd be these like cool 40-year-old people, like, because we're kids young, that would be off in like fucking Europe, like, you know, while our kids are at uni or whatever, and we'll be living our best life. And then here we are with a 3-year-old. I just, honestly, I love this age gap so much more than I thought I would. It's the most amazing thing. It's like, I describe it as when we had her, it's like having the confidence of your third kid, but the time of your first kid because the others are at school. So like she's got all of me, but also I'm so confident that it's not stressful. You know, with your first and second, you're kind of still figuring things out, at first especially, but you're still kind of just like, you're a bit unsure. And this time, like nothing me, like it's just, you know, I know what I'm doing, but I've got all this time. I say that like I didn't put her in Kohanga at 1 for 5 days a week, but you know, like you've just got all this like time. And the age gap's the most amazing thing because it's like, we also talk about her a little bit as being like a child of divorce, where she's got me and Jared, but she's also got these other parents, Rocky and Ruby, like, and she plays us against each other. Like, she gets what she wants because she'll be like, if I don't give her something, she'll go to like Ruby and like butter up Ruby, and Ruby will just go get it. Or like, she plays us all against each other.
Amazing.
But she's 4 older people in her life that just adore and love her, and it's the coolest thing because, you know, when you have like a child or a baby and they do something and you're like, oh my God, like to your partner or to your support person or whoever, you're just like, this is the most. It's like that, but with Rocky and Ruby, like we're all just so in love with her and so obsessed with her and so like, do you know what I mean? It's so cool. So you know, she'll do something and the kids will, she just learned how to sing her favorite songs, cooool. And so when she learned that, it's like the kids would come home and you'd be like, oh my God, you've got to listen to this, it's so cute. And she'll put on a performance for them, and then the next person comes home and it's like, oh my God, you've got to listen to this. So it's really special having all of us so involved and so like just dote over her. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but that's my favorite
I mean, to be fair, I like already see that my son is 3.5 and my daughter is 7 months. And even my son is like that about my daughter. So I can't even imagine what it would be like with that. Like when even bigger age gap where there's all that more understanding. I think it would be because it is so nice watching your older kids like be so proud of your younger kids. It's gorgeous.
Feeling. And then there's like the practical side of it as well with the age gap. Like now I'm telling everyone, I'm like, don't do it. Like you need this big age gap. It's so cool. Like, you know, when you think of like, you know, you've got a child that's like a baby that's like shit through and you're like holding the legs up and you're trying to reach the wipes. It's amazing. It's like, oh, can you just give me the wipes? Or like, oh, can you just get me... You've always got someone to like help you. When I was pregnant, my mum was like, you know that Rocky and Ruby can't raise this child. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, why can't they? So,
seems like a lie. I think they can.
Like, why else would we have a big age gap, Pauline?
I love that.
So no, it's loved the smaller age gap, but this is the most incredible thing. And I wouldn't say we go from like me being like totally done, and then Jared being like, we should go one more, and then me being like, what about one more, and Jared being like, I think we're done. So we're definitely not like finished. Like,
ask, like, are you done? That's so interesting.
I just like, if you'd asked me like 3 to 6 months ago, I'd be like, we're definitely having another baby. And now I feel like everything's so easy. I'm like, oh, like I just don't know if I want to risk going back to like sleepless nights and like, you know,
that like, because there's a 3-year age gap between my kids, and it was a bit like, we've just got it so easy and now we're going back to the start. But it doesn't take long before it feels like you've got it kind of like back together again. Like, you know, we're 7 months postpartum and I sort of feel like we've got it easy-ish
and
now.
I think like, I do just think we did get it like very easy with Aggie. Like she has just been a breeze right the way through. So I'm just like, we'll just probably have a really colicky, like, you know, refusal, like just everything. And I'll be like, obviously we'd love it, but also you'd be like, oh my God. Like, so
I think you need that shit one to be finished though.
I know. So that's it. I feel like I'll just keep having them if they just keep turning out like Aggie. So we'll
100%.
It's not a firm no, but you know, and I just think people are having kids so much older. Like, a lot of my friends don't have children yet, you know, in their mid-30s, and I'm like, I've got so much time. Like, who cares? I've gone from being this 22-year-old parent to like a geriatric parent.
Yeah. I'm a hospital social worker. I work in the birthing suite, and like we can see the ages of the mums on the whiteboard in the morning. And honestly, it's like majority of the time I would say it's mums that are like 33, 34 plus. Like it's pretty unusual to get a birthing suite where the majority of people are in their 20s. It's like
so I think
very much skewing older.
I noticed that quite a bit as well, where I think when I had Brocky and Ruby, it was probably still 22 didn't even feel like it was that young. It was young, but it wasn't like young. Whereas now I feel like it's like super young to have. When I say 22, people are like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm like,
"You were a teenager."
Yeah. So I do think there's a bigger, which gives me the confidence. I love it because it gives me the confidence to, or like the confidence probably isn't the right word, but it gives me the like almost okay to go ahead if I was to
affirmation.
After 35, like you know. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
Interesting. Watch this space. Cool. And then I guess my question here is like, how did you decide to go for Aggie? Did you know you wanted a third? Like, what was the conversation there?
So that's a funny story. So I would have had a third after with Rocky and Ruby, probably banged another one out really quickly, whereas Jared was like, two's good. And so I was like, I didn't desperately want it, so it wasn't like no, can we really like, talk about this? It was like, okay, whatever. And then when I was pregnant, so I was pregnant with Ziggy, the surrogate baby, and my sister had her first baby around the same time. And so my husband, Jared, fell in love with my nephew, like absolutely adored him. They were like best friends. They still obviously are, but when he was like a baby, we looked after him quite a bit while my sister was working, and they just had this like incredible bond. And so my nephew Cooper is what made Jared, I will never forget, I was like 20 weeks pregnant with like Ziggy, and Jared was away. He was in Auckland. I think it was like something in Auckland, and he texted me and was like, I think we should have another baby. And I literally texted back and was like, the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, I'm literally pregnant with someone else's child. Like, what do you mean? And he's like,
my brain is not there right now.
I was like, what's wrong? Like, I'm literally knocked up with like another couple's child. Like, go away. So I think I said like, so I was halfway through the pregnancy, so I was due in November. So I think I said to him like, let's come back to it in January. We're parking it. I don't want to hear it. Like, we'll talk about it in January. And then I think coming towards the end of that pregnancy, we both knew that we would have another one. And then I was quite unwell after I had Ziggy with like physical complications, and so. It was a bit tricky, like that's where we really did have the conversations of, do we let my body like fully recover, or do we just risk maybe like another shitty kind of recovery postpartum, and just like whack them out. And it was ultimately, obviously it was my decision, and I was like, nah, I'd rather just like get this over and done with. Like, and again, we definitely thought that it was the last one. So I was like, I did have like age in the back of my mind, like, I don't want to get too much older, and I didn't want the kids to get too much older. And so that's what we decided to do. So she was very much planned, and it was just, let's just see, who. Again, I'm obviously quite fortunate that we as a couple don't have fertility. We're able to get pregnant pretty quickly, and we did again, this time. So yeah, that's how Aggie came about. And it was so funny because I documented the surrogacy journey like fully on the internet. And one of the things I'd spoken about is there's obviously a whole rigmarole with having a baby via surrogacy. And one of the things is that you have to have finished having your family to be a surrogate. And I remember when I was pregnant.
I didn't know that.
So you have, but it's so I'd kind of, I guess, said it like that to the internet, like, we've finished having children, that's a requirement, blah, blah, blah. And so when I was pregnant with Aggie, people like couldn't wrap their heads around it, and were like, it's like they thought they could like report me to someone or something. And but the idea with that is, it was so bizarre. It was like, but you can't have a baby, but you can't
you have to stop now.
But the whole reason behind that is that you have to be okay. You have to be finished having your family, so that if something happens and you can't continue to have more children, you have to be like okay with that. So it's more of a like a box tick, like you would know, like just keeping everybody safe and happy with their decisions and whatnot. So
so there's no, if something did happen and your uterus had to get taken out, there would be no resentment on your part towards the intended family.
And the funny thing is, which is not really funny, but I actually postpartum hemorrhaged really bad after the surrogate baby, after Ziggy, and I signed forms and I went in under GA to have a hysterectomy. So I was very close.
Oh, wow.
So I the only way they were trying to stop me hemorrhaging, and they took me, and I was knocked out completely GA. Before that, I signed my consent to have a hysterectomy, and I thought I had a hysterectomy when I went into theatre. And then when I came out, they didn't have to give me a hysterectomy. So I don't know, maybe Aggie, was just always meant to be that we were meant to continue on with. So that's like another fun fact. I love a fun fact.
I had the exact same thing, that I had a postpartum hemorrhage, and they were like, it was because of a retained placenta, like my placenta didn't come away.
Yeah.
So it was bleeding out and it was all very stressful. And before I went into theatre, they were like, we might have to give you a hysterectomy if it's life-saving measures. But I'm an endometriosis girly, and so I was like, take it, get rid of it, because I knew we were done. I was like, take it. I'm going to have to fight for it anyway, so take it now. My OB was like, I think you need to chill out on trying to get us to take an organ out of your body.
Yeah.
But it's wild, like that situation of like, everything's fine, and then suddenly, like, I don't know how your birth was with Ziggy, but my birth with my daughter Max was really good. Like, so straightforward, so fast, really easy. She was born, and then the tension in the room changes, because it's like such a weird, it's so strange.
So mine was pretty much the same with Ziggy. I had preeclampsia. There were complications because of him being, which is very common with an IVF pregnancy. And obviously surrogacy is a whole nother ballpark, because there's so many unknowns, right? Like it's IVF with a different person's sperm and egg, but then it's also someone else's like body. So there's a few, there's a bit more at play there. And I probably did go into it like quite naively, where I was like, I do this well, like whatever, like, I thought I was like birthing goddess. And then I got preeclampsia, which is not the end of the world, and it wasn't it's quite common in IVF pregnancies, right? So I got preeclampsia, and then so birth-wise, it was a bit of a shit show, where I'm a bit of like a birth like junkie, like I love that shit. I'm like a bit of a raging birth hippie, like I'm all about it. I was really fortunate that I had an incredible midwife who basically was like, we're just going to do our own thing, like she's safe, the baby's safe. And I'm quite knowledgeable in that kind of the birthing realm. So I was really like comfortable with my decisions.
Did you have to be induced, or did they let you go naturally?
So I got induced. I forgot about that. So I got induced with Ziggy, so he's my only induction, and that was fine for me. I had, I think it's called misoprostol something. And it was really new.
Someone who works in that space is yelling at us right now.
Oh, they'll know.
Don't know anything.
It was really new in Christchurch at the time. Like there was not many people had used it yet. So I did that, and it was totally fine. It took fucking ages, but like it wasn't uncomfortable. It was fine. Like, we were able to do our own thing. And then they broke my waters, which is my only pregnancy that my waters have been broken for. So that was like interesting. And then it was real quick, quite straightforward for me. But I had an incredible midwife, so I was able to have the hospital like no water birth, no this, no that, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And then my midwife I had an incredible nurse that I was with when they kind of were like, we're going to break your waters. And and then the doctor was like, I was talking to her about like water birth not being like basically like monitored the whole time, blah, blah, blah. And then the doctor overheard and was like, absolutely not. Like, you're no. And so I just the midwife looked at me and was like, do you want me to ring? Because my midwife that I made LMC was an elderly woman who's been around forever, and everyone knows her. She's incredible. And the nurse, the midwife said, do you want me to ring Hef? And we looked at Jared, and he said, I've already rung her. And so she literally walked in the door like minutes later. Jared had already got in touch with her. So and she just walked in, and within no time at all, water was run. The head of midwifery came in and was like, we are going to leave you to it. We won't come in. If you need us, we'll be here. But we basically, like, he had so much pull in that hospital. It was amazing.
It's like the level of advocacy you need, eh? You just need someone who's like, fuck off. Yeah. I'm doing this. Yeah. I've got this. Like, and, like, I'm taking the risk here.
Yeah, my third birth, like, you know, incredible. I've had Hef as my midwife previously, and it was the most amazing thing. And they just basically came in, basically, like, washed their hands of us, but also, like, obviously we're still in the hospital. Like, you know, they knew. And I got the most incredible water birth. I got out for monitoring when Hef needed me to, but I had a water birth, which was ideal outcome for myself and for the birth, for the intended mother, I think we call them. So yeah, it was amazing, and it was all straightforward, super fine. And then with the hemorrhaging, I went to have a shower. Obviously, you know, they'd taken the baby, like, we'd done all the things, delayed cord clamping, they'd moved to another room with the baby. Like, it was quite long after, and I went and had a shower, and Jared was with me in the shower, and he said, I think you're bleeding, like, a lot. And I was like, nah. I was like, the water just makes it look worse. Like, I'm totally fine. And then, like, within seconds, I was pretty much, like, as pale as a ghost. Like, he pretty much carried me out of there and was like, the bitch ain't right. And
Scary.
Yeah, just kind of went downhill really quickly, which also was terrifying for Jared, because my mum had, like, everyone had left. My mum had left, the Hef had left, like, I only had the backup midwife, like, everyone had left. It was just Jared looking at me, like, literally bleeding out on a table, being like, the fuck is happening?
Hey, you're
and
dying.
There's no baby, you know, like, he doesn't have, it's just him. So, yeah, it was pretty, like, horrific, but also, like, I'm just quite blunt. I'm very chill, like, not much phases me, and, like, I was so fine, and I'll never forget. I swear they need to put, like, a plaque up in the hospital of my quote. The doctor that came in to, like, you know, deal with me said, so funny, it's so fucked, but she said she's got the blood pressure of someone dying, but she won't stop talking. That is, like, quote unquote, what they said about me.
That's amazing.
And I was like, no, my blood sugar's just low. I was, like, eating lollies. I ate, like, a bacon and egg McMuffin from earlier that day. I was like, just feed me. Like, I just need some sustenance. Like, I'm fine. And they were like, you're like,
no, you're losing blood.
Like, you're fucked. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, it was so bad. I was making jokes with the, like, what are they called? Anesthetologist?
Yeah. I remember going down to theatre, and my midwife was with me, like, walking down, and she, bless her, I love her, she was amazing. I was her first ever birth as a registered midwife, and, like, it was completely fucked. This poor girl, like, she's amazing, a great LMC, she was fantastic, but honestly, we make jokes. She literally went from my birth in the morning to her graduation from uni that afternoon, and she, like, called me, and she was like, I'm so tired, and so, like, I was like, I'm so sorry to have done that to you, but we were, like, on the way down, and she was like, Abby, how are you doing? And I was like, oh no, I'm, like, really looking forward to a nap. And she was like, can you please not, like, respond to this with dark humor right now? Like, I just really need you to be serious.
So
like,
good.
Like, how many people get to have a wee nap after birth? It's lovely. Exactly. She was like, stop it. Question 2 is, what does successful parenting mean or look like to you?
I think for me, successful parenting is having well-rounded kids, but I feel like well-rounded is so, like, broad, but well-rounded for, I guess, like, me and, like, our whānau is, like, socially conscious children, respectful, and not just, like, respectful, like, respect to elders, obs, but, like, respectful of people from different walks of life, people that they might not, I guess, like, have everyday access to, but when they're out in the world and they come across people that are different than what, you know, they are, that they're very respectful, and caring and compassionate. I guess, like, I'm raising my children to be allies. There's so many conversations that happen in this house that you do wonder, like, are you taking this on board? Like, is this just too much for you? But hopefully,
is this just me talking to myself?
I know, you know, hopefully, and I know I'm going to tell the story, you can cut if you want to, but I don't know if it's too soon, but, you know, we live in central Auckland, and there was obviously recently a newborn baby that was found deceased, and so my kids had so many questions because it's very close to home. We live very close to that street, and so they had a lot of questions around that. And even there, you know, immediately they go to the worst case scenarios, and it's like, you know, just hyping it's what they've heard and what they think they know. And so the conversation immediately went to postpartum psychosis. It was understand. These children were like, what are you talking about? But I was like, you're not going to go straight to something else when, you know, you need to understand. I was talking to them about statistics. I was talking to them about postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis. I gave them examples, other scenarios, and they left that. And I know this is an extreme example, but that's kind of my parenting in a nutshell, is that I want them to understand that there's more to everything, and that you could look at a newspaper article or hear something and be like, oh my God, that is the most horrific thing. But actually, there's more to that. And I don't ever want my children to hear something and not think critically about it and have compassion. Yeah. I also, in the same breath, I want them to always believe women. And the first instance there is, this is statistically so different that I don't know. It wasn't just that came to me as well, where we also then had that conversation. Yeah, so I'm raising children to be good members of society, I hope, and compassionate allies, children I take them to protests, I take them to activations. They know about American politics, they know about abortion, they know about all of these things, because if I can tell them, I want to tell them the truth, and I want to tell them, I guess, my version, so that they don't hear someone at school telling them that abortion is bad and this and that, when I've already told them what I guess I believe, and they can make up their own, you know, minds and things like that. But I'm again, that could have been a really roundabout answer, but that's like my ultimate.
I really like that answer.
Other people would come on here and say, I want them to be, you know, good at university and this and that. I don't give a shit. I don't care if you don't finish school. I don't care if you don't. I also want them to be resilient. We're dealing with some mental health issues with our oldest at the moment, and so I want him to have, you know, the coping mechanisms, the coping skills, resilience, and all of those things. And in turn with that comes compassion with Ruby and Aggie. They've witnessed us dealing with this, and their knowledge and understanding is just
that's amazing. I really like that answer. I also have been thinking a lot about, like, you've been very public about your journey of kind of like Te Ao Māori and Te Reo Māori, and sort of like bringing that back into, or like not even bringing that back into your family. It's probably always in your family, but you've got a real focus on that in your family at the moment. And I wonder if that kind of like allyship, that like collectivist mindset, that like leaving the planet better than you found it, is that like, do you think that focus in your family also ties into that kind of bringing Te Ao Māori into your family? Like, are they one and the same?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, like, obviously there's so many shitty things happening in New Zealand, and, you know, with our government and with, you know, the Toitū Te Tiriti space and things like that. But it's been, I don't want to say it's a good thing, but it's been a timely thing that we've done that with the kids, and then this has happened, and so it can really tie the two together. They understand because it affects them why we're doing this, why we're going to marches, why we're doing submissions, why we're doing all of these things, because they are still kids. And so I could tell them, like, you know, all of these other things about stuff that's happening in society that we need to get behind in allyship, but they're still kids. So if it doesn't affect them, they're still like, oh yeah, cool, thanks for telling me that, mum, but also like, whatever, moving on, you know, like they're still children. So when it can be tied into like something that they understand affects them and their culture and their birthright, and all of that, it's definitely made it easier for them to understand what's kind of happening. And I think that trying to raise them more in Te Ao Māori also obviously comes into it as well, you know, understanding so many different things, and just the different way of living collectively. And I think it just all comes back to me to allyship, like, you know, it's just allyship, like society's fucked.
Well, I think Te Ao Māori is natural allyship, right? Like that Indigenous cultures is like, it is, that's, you know, allyship without having to like learn how to do it. It's what like, it is. Yeah.
We have queer people, like, you know, autism has their own word, like all of these things are accepted, and, you know, and then it comes hand in hand with like the patriarchy, like all of these
Yes.
things for me tie into it parenting wise. And I have never, from the moment these children were born, they've had things given to them as they've never been kind of talked down to or treated like children when it comes to issues. Everything's obviously given to them in a child appropriate way, but at the same time, like we've always talked about, you know, keeping themselves safe in a sexual harm way. And we've always talked about, like, the conversations have always been on the table, like periods. It doesn't matter. We read books with Rocky about, he's so clued up on menstruating that, you know, he's so ready to support someone through that. It's just all of those little things that just don't think people, I don't think parents, I don't know, there's different things here. One is that I think that parents don't feel like they have the confidence or the knowledge to do that themselves. The other one is thinking someone else will do it for them. And like, I just think that, so again, a part of me being on social media, I've always talked about these things because I've had so many people message me being like, oh my God, like, I feel like I can talk to my kid about this now, like, or just things like that. Because if you were raised in a way that you didn't have open communication with your children or in your household, or you were just came home from school and there was a book on fucking masturbation on the bed, and that was, I don't think there are books on masturbation. That was
I was going to say, imagine, like, even a book on masturbation would be like kind of revolutionary. It'd be like it's like a book on how to not get pregnant.
Yeah, but like I don't want a book on masturbation, but I'm going to tell you about it. Like, I just, it's that open line of communication that's constantly there. It's constantly, if something comes up, we talk about it. If I just, when they were little, they knew more about sex education from the age of 2 to 5 than probably everyone else in their class. But my thing with that was, well, I don't want you to go to school and someone say this is this and this and this and this, and now I've been given like a fairy tale that's not factual, which in turn can harm my children. So I wanted them to always have the correct information, but at the same time, we always spoke about, like, you know, other families do things differently, so you don't need to go and tell everyone this. But I knew that they didn't have they weren't talking about their fufu and their fucking barako or whatever, you know, they had correct, all of those things. I think that, and I like to talk about it because I just don't think people don't have knowledge. They don't have someone telling them, no, you can do that. Or like, you know, it's just, and again, I'm coming into teenage years. I've got older children now. And so those conversations are only getting more, you know, more intense and more
complex.
You know, we've got more discourse like between us, like we can have conversations and back and forths and things like that. So yeah, I guess that's a long-winded answer to
I like it. It's kind of tied in with the third question as well. But did you naturally know how to talk like this? Were you parented like this? Like, are you just a magic unicorn who's not scared of scary conversations? What's the secret there?
I think that I did come from, I'm the last of 6 kids. Like, my parents stopped giving a fuck about me. They didn't. But like, I got to do, I had pretty free reign kind of like teenage years and growing up and things like that, because my oldest sibling's in her 50s, right? Like, I'm the last kid of 6 in a second marriage kind of thing. So I guess it did get to a point a little bit where it was like, she'll be fine. And I was fine.
She'll figure it out.
But, yeah, you know, but like, I've always been a talker. I have always cared about social injustices and equality and all of that. Like, I think that it has always been a big part of me. I don't really kind of know why. I did definitely grow up in, like, I feel the same. And like an open household, you know, like nothing was, you know, sex periods, like nothing was taboo, I guess, you know, off limits. It wasn't, but then it wasn't like a real, probably like forward household either. It was just, but it wasn't like keep things in the shadows. I don't know. I have always enjoyed arguing for like people's rights. I've
always enjoyed arguing.
Oh my God. So when I was young, I wrote a letter to my parents saying that I was going to become a lawyer, and I signed it and told them how much money I would give them. It was probably like fucking 200, but they kept this letter. And so I've always had that passion to kind of like help people through arguing. I just don't know. Like, I just don't give a fuck. I wouldn't say I'm the best I don't even think I'd class myself as an activist. I don't do enough, I don't believe, to class myself as an activist, but I care about activism, and I will turn up to most things, and I will speak about things people don't speak about on the internet, because the internet's also my income. It's my full-time job. It's my full-time income. people are really scared by that. But like, I'm proof that I make great money and I'm home with my children and I can give a shit about things on the internet. And so
this is I'm intrigued by you because you fascinate me, because I'm like just obviously diving into the world of like content creation and internet stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I think I'm quickly realizing that people feel like they need to make themselves marketable to brands, especially people who are like making their full-time income from content creation. But you are very much living proof that you can speak on everything in a very honest and straightforward way. Yeah, interesting.
I'm very open about that. I don't want them. I would rather like have to get a real job than not even be myself. Yeah. It's that I can't, if I've been fortunate enough to have this platform to make good money, to stay home with my children and not miss anything, well, you know, a few things. But if I have that privilege, my work is a privilege. And the fact that I've just fallen into it and I've got this huge following, I'm not wasting that. Like, I'm not just going to tell you to go buy a LOOOOOVVVEEE. I'm going to but I can tell you where to get a LOOOOOOUUUUU.
I was about to say, but you know the good LOOOOOOOOOOs.
I got the kids fake one. I'm the coolest mum ever. But I'm not going to waste that. And I've done this. In my 9 years of doing this, I've raised over $100,000 for charities and organizations. Because if I don't have these people, I'm not wasting them. These people are here listening. Like, I'm not going to just tell you some shit. I'm going to tell you that as well because I need to pay my bills. But I'm also going to counteract that consumerism and that, like, I can recognize and fully acknowledge that this is a shitty job and, like, there's so many downfalls for society from influencing. Like, that's the reality. I'm not. And so I need to counteract that. And to me, it's raising funds for, whether I've raised money for Lifeline, for Kohangers, for Bellyful, for so many people. It's like not even funny.
That's so cool.
And then it's also my voice. Like, I'm not just going to, I think it's a combination on the internet of not worried that you're not going to be marketable, but also having the fear that you don't know enough about it. I've talked to a few people recently that would like to, but they don't have the knowledge to have back and forth. But I'm like, you don't have to. I often will say my piece and be like, don't interact with me because I said what I said.
I don't
care.
Like,
so many people get to spew bullshit on the internet and have no repercussions. I'm not engaging with you. I'm just putting these facts out there, take it or leave it. If one person learns something from that, amazing. I want to talk to you about it. Like, go away. So I think I've got really good boundaries with it now where I just don't care. But I would love to see.
Good. I can remember during when the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case was going on. Yeah. I remember posting on my like personal Instagram with hardly anyone following me, you know, like family and friends, posted on that being like very pro Amber Heard, obviously, because I don't support psychotic abusers. And I said in the comments, like, I'm really not interested in having a debate about this. Like, this is just my piece on my story. Not interested. Don't reply to this. I don't care. And someone replied, and it's obviously this girl that I knew because it was my private Instagram, and I immediately just blocked her. I was like, if you can't respect the boundary, I don't care.
People think that you owe them something, and I used to argue the fuck out of people. I used to back and forth. I used to send links. I don't do that anymore. I will not. If you're coming to me with wanting to clarify something or to learn more, absolutely, I will be there to talk to you. It's not like a hard no. It's just I'm not going to argue with you about Destiny's Church because they fucking suck, and I will not do it. Like, if you support them, you shouldn't be following me. There's plenty of things people must watch me say that they go, but they don't. It doesn't. It's you know, it's tiny. The margin's tiny, and that's fine because I follow people that I'm like, fuck you, but I still like everything else, and it wasn't so offensive or so wrong or so, you know, like there's plenty, and that's fine.
There's also there's people that come to you for good faith conversation, and there's people that come to you because they just want to argue their own point. They're not actually interested in hearing what you've got to say. They just disagree with you and want to tell you about it. Yeah. And that's like, I'm not going to sit in my DMs all day not talking to my kids, like responding to this person that's like deliberately trying to get a rise out of me because they believe that Destiny's Church is not a hate group. Like,
and
I'm not going to sit there and argue that with you.
Yeah. I've been thinking about another thing recently where I think that something that I haven't talked about it yet, but I need to, but I just can't be bothered, is the other thing is any brands that are currently working with me, I think need credit. I think that if you're looking, when it's like, who do we, shop with or things like that, like knowing that I'm so outspoken, that nothing's off the table for me, and that I am very anti current government and things like that. I think that to then have these brands still work with me, I think like props to them. Very easily be like, we're just not even gonna and I'm getting more work now than I did, like it's just, I just would love to get rid of that stigma of that, and I'd love more education around that. I got really drunk recently at an after party for CreatorCon, which is like kind of the influencing like conference, I guess, and I went up to one of the co-founders and was like, meh, 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 and I just like yapped his ear off about how they need more like conversations at like workshops or speakers about diversity and how to speak about political issues and all of this shit. And like, fear I was drunk and I should have ended the conversation sooner, because he was great until like he was like, shut the fuck up. He didn't say that, but like he was like, I definitely overstepped by like going on about.
He was like, I'm at the after party now. My job's done.
Literally. So I should follow up with an email, but like I was like, why aren't you guys doing that? Like, why are we not offering a space for creators to learn more about how to speak if they want to? I'm not saying everyone has to. I think you fucking should. But I'm saying if people want to and they don't know how to, like, shouldn't we be? Is that not PD in our industry? Is that not personal development? Is that not like,
I agree.
Yeah, so I think that there's the two things: don't want to lose money and don't know how to, or don't have the confidence to. And I think it would be cool to just, I don't know, encourage some more people to speak up on certain things, or just share something. You don't even have to be like passionate and like yap about it. Just share a tile. It's not hard.
I agree. That's my thing, is that I'm like, there's so many amazing and smart people, like Palestine, right?
And they're doing the work for us. Like,
I know I'm pro-Palestine, and I know that that's where I sit, and I can understand my thoughts behind it. I really struggle to verbalize it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no one's expecting me to make the content about it. There are thousands of people making amazing content about why we should be pro-Palestine. It takes me 2 seconds to share those very smart people's very clever work onto my story. Why would I not do that? Like,
I honestly don't
even think that's like the bare minimum.
Yeah. I honestly don't even think I could give you 5 like actual full-time content creators that are doing the bare minimum. Like it's just, no one does it.
Sucks.
Like it's so crazy.
It's just like not good enough. Yeah.
I know.
Okay, third question, which we actually have kind of just talked about. So if you don't feel like there's anything to add, then that's fine. But it is, what is something that feels unique about your parenting style?
Yeah, I guess that probably is my unique thing. The kind of, I guess, like maybe call it like no bullshit parenting approach. I don't know if that's the right. It's just kind of, there's not a lot of fluffy stuff in terms of like how I, talk to the kids and what they, I guess, hold on, that's probably, it makes me sound like a really ungentle parent.
No, not at all.
So like, yeah, I guess it's they just are treated like, I guess, like just with respect, like they're a person. Like it's not, I'm not dumbing shit down for them. Like there's obviously, I spoke a little bit about it before, but there is age appropriate stuff, and to be fair, probably half the shit I do is not age appropriate. I'm told that all the time, but like whatever. But yeah, I guess it's just not treating them like they don't deserve knowledge, and that they don't like, I guess I'm raising them to be worldly. Like Ruby is the most incredible, confident 9-year-old I've ever met. We moved to Auckland at the beginning of the year, and I spoke about how she's got a cell phone, which I knew would ruffle some feathers. The only reason she has it is because we moved to Auckland from a very safe kind of like suburb in Christchurch. It's very different, and we live very close to Ponsonby Road, and I just wanted that for my peace of mind. I can track the shit out of her on her phone, blah, blah, blah. I know I don't have to justify it, but also I know it, the phone even sounds gross to me. I get it. So, and then I said,
you're like, no, she's a 9-year-old with a GPS tracker on her.
Yes,
now.
Yeah. And I think I've said how I just let her go roam. She just roams Greyland. She's up in Ponsonby Road. The bitch is living her best central city life, right? And
I love that for her.
It's so cool. She's so confident. She's so street smart. She's so, obviously we still have like safety precautions in place, and like, I am not just like, do what you want, catch a bus to fucking Henderson. Like, But like, I've just never met a kid. Rose, she said to me, "Can I go up to Woolworths?" And I was like, "Yeah, totally fine." She comes back and she goes to me, "I just bought myself a brown lip liner. I've always wanted one." I said, "Good for you, girlfriend. You use your pocket money." 2 days later, I'm cleaning up and it's a Mecca lip liner. So she's just popped into Mecca on her way home, bought herself a lip liner. Like, the confidence to do that at 9 is like mind blowing to me. I would have been like, I know, she rang me from the dairy the other day because her card wasn't working. And I was like, "Oh, that's right. It's a new one. It had expired. You've got to insert it, put your PIN in." She's like, "Well, it won't work." I said, "Hold on, I'll change the PIN quickly in the app." She did it again, was like, "Thanks so much," hung up and just was, I would have run home crying that my card wouldn't work at the dairy.
Yeah.
Like, so I guess, we're doing something right. We're very well-rounded. Obviously, like I said, we are dealing with some mental health issues with our oldest child, but that's, even then we've got such an open line of communication that it feels so much less daunting, right?
So sorry about that. For the listeners, my daughter has joined us on the call and she's just having the most outrageous burp.
It was very good.
No, yeah, I love that. I think, like, I used to be a primary school social worker, and I think parents are like, I don't want to generalize parents because I'm not giving them enough credit, but I do think that a lot of parents are scared to treat their kids like humans.
Yeah.
Because I think in your mind, they're these tiny, like, in everyone's mind, you're still holding your baby, and like, it's hard to visualize or conceptualize the idea that they are getting older and our job is to equip them into becoming adults.
Yeah.
And so I think that can be a really scary thing because you're sort of like releasing that parenting kind of like, not control, but that like bubble. And I think that can be a hard lesson for people to learn.
Yeah. And there's so many households, I know that there's so many households that are instilling their values in their children that I deem quite dangerous, whether it's homophobic, it's racist, it's all of this.
Yes.
So I need to best equip my children with knowing what we believe in as a family and how we will always stand up for people to combat that. Like, I think that's like my duty as their parent, is to not only give them the information to protect themselves, but also to protect others.
Yes, agreed. That, like you say, that is safety. Like, that's also safety. That's making them a safe person and keeping them in safe spaces. And
I'm also fully aware they might turn out to be total shit human beings. But I've done my best.
I know.
And I think that's
someone
the reality.
Asked me the other day, someone said to me, like, someone asked me the questions and I said, like, I just want them to be really good people and like contribute good things to the world. And I was like, I don't know, they might rebel, but my version of rebelling is like voting for ACT.
Yeah, exactly. This is it, like
they might be ACT voters.
Having a preteen boy, I'm very aware of like the red pill movement and who he may be, like the internet and all of this. So there's so many, we have conversations around that. And I'll tell you what, he's a little shit, he's amazing, but he'll wind me out. He'll be like, "Donald Trump was cool today." He just does this to annoy me. And he knows. So then it's always followed by a very, very stern conversation. And then he just like, he knows my, so, you've got other preteen boys that are fucking stealing cars and
watching Andrew Tate.
And then you've got my kid who knows that that's my absolute pressure point. And he comes at me with it. That. And then thinks he's, you've got kids pranking their parents with whoopee cushions. Mine pranks me by being like, "How's Donald Trump today?"
Donald Trump's pretty cool.
But again, I'm like, well, I'm doing something right because he knows that's a problematic situation. That he
knows that that's like a hilarious.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, I'm like, well, he knows enough to know that that's an
really
issue.
Funny.
Yeah.
So I love that. Amazing. Okay, the fourth question is, what has your biggest what the was that moment been since becoming a parent?
Oh my God. I feel like the thing with parenting is you have so many biggest what the fuck moments because every time you think you're nailing it, it turns to shit again. And I think that's a really normal thing that freaks people out. But, as, again, an almost 12-year-old child, just such a mind fuck parenting is.
Yeah.
Probably, I guess our current one is what we, struggles with our 11-year-old. It's been really hard dealing with his mental health, his mental stability. And so I guess that's super what the fuck, because everything was fine 6 weeks ago, and now it's like everything's different. That's quite
yeah.
But it's just, you go from your biggest what the fuck being like, I'll never forget coming into Ruby's room when she was a toddler and she'd shit on the floor, and when I had opened the door it smushed her shit all through the carpet, and then she closed the door behind us, so we were trapped in this shit room. So you go from what the fucks like that, which are like hilarious, and like also what the fuck do I do? Do I just burn this house down? Like, how do we climb out?
You're like, do I rip up the carpet? What do I do here?
You go from what the fucks like that to what the fucks that are like actually really important to your child's well-being. And I guess the spectrum's so big. My what the fuck moment to someone else's would be completely different. And again, going back to why I do what I do on the internet, why I started what I do, is to make people feel less alone and to talk about things that no one talks about. And so I guess, for someone else to maybe hear about my what the fuck moment currently being, how do we support our child through a mental health crisis, and, have tools to deal with anxiety, and all of these things, if it resonates with someone and they go, oh my God, someone else is also going through that, then that's kind of what I've always aimed to do. So, our biggest what the fuck moment is ongoing, and there'll be another one. They don't end. This is my other advice to parents. They don't
get it
end.
under control, and then you won't know what's happening next.
Well, then Rubes is going to be a tween, like it's just, it never ends. And so I think that, I know you didn't ask for advice, but don't take your what the fucks too seriously, because, or don't get hung up on it. If it's not, if it's manageable, it's just, there'll be a new one. There'll be a new one soon. So, that's probably our.
And I guess the social worker in me would be remiss to not ask, do you feel supported and looked after in dealing with mental health stuff for your oldest?
Yeah, it's been a real new, like, again, there was a different what the fuck last, Yeah. But I think so. It's just been tricky. We're currently living between two different places. And so there's a few other factors to our situation, but we immediately, jumped into action and are actually moving back to Christchurch in 2 weeks to be with Rocky. And to give him that stability, and having all of us, while Jared stays here to finish studying. Again, this is it. Like, you do anything for your children, and we've done a lot of that. This year's been wild, and so we are moving back to Christchurch, and we have had support through services up here. We brought him up here with us till we can get back to Christchurch, and we have appointments set up for as soon as we get back. And I think at the start it was very like, what do you do? Again, no one talks about this shit, right? Like, especially with children. It's very like, and
especially primary age.
And there is an element of like privacy, wanting to keep privacy for him. But then at the same time, like, he's telling every Hom, Dick and Harry out in the street about what he's, or like, because we have an open line of communication. Like, nothing's taboo. This is not like this. Oh, don't talk about that, or no one can know this, or like, it's very. He would sit here with me, hand on heart, and fucking yabba about it. So I think that it is a fine line of, keeping your personal information and your children respect their privacy, but at the same time, like, I don't know where to go to get the information. It was, the first little bit was so hard. I literally like sobbed on the phone to my mum and was like, there's no instruction manual for this.
There's not.
Like,
there's
I
just
was like,
not.
what do I do? And you can Google some shit, and we got an incredible doctor. We did end up actually in Starship. And we got the most incredible doctor, who also then saw us after for a GP appointment, which is impossible apparently. And he opened early to get Rocky in to see him for follow-up, and he gave us all the information, and it was so straightforward and easy. But up until that point, we'd already been a couple of weeks in it, and I was like, what the fuck do I do? Like, So but good news is he's doing incredible, and he had some other physical issues, physical health issues happening as well. It was all part and parcel, and he is doing so well now. So, but it is something that's going to be ongoing. So I'm constantly learning, and we are, both doing everything we can to learn, and just make sure when it kind of came to a head I was like so stressed, obviously, with our living situation. I was like, we've ruined him. And then mum was like, she basically said she's very a great advice giver. She said, you know, if we weren't dealing with it, which she was like, this is always, we've talked about his anxiety 2 years ago. We're talking about it now and we'll be talking about it in 2 years' time. She said, if this didn't happen now, then it would have happened when he was a teenager or a young adult. And this is a lot easier to deal with now and to give him the coping mechanisms, the skills, help him build his resilience, all of these things now that he can use for the rest of his life than it would have been if it was just kind of like, you know, do you know what I mean? So
100%.
yeah, that was a really nice piece of advice from mum, who's amazing. And we just know that it's going to be ongoing, but we also know that it hopefully won't be as hard for him because we're fully throwing everything behind him to support him now.
Yeah, totally. And I guess just for listeners who are resonating with this or also going through a situation where they've got a young child and they don't know where to go, just from your local friendly neighbourhood social worker, your GP is always a great place to start, especially like your child's GP, because they are used to parents coming in with mental health concerns. And then also, if you don't have a GP you trust or you can't get in and see, you should check and see if your child's school has a social worker. If they don't, then chat to like the school SENCO or LSC, or one of the deputy principals will usually be in charge of some kind of well-being, and they have great ideas of resources in and around the areas because they'll be connected in with support people and NGOs and charities and all the such. So definitely there will be people around who know where to go. And if you don't know where to start, turn up at school and say, I don't know what's going on.
The GP, he just had so much incredible information for us, and we do, we've got, again, our living situation is a little bit different currently, but we get back to Christchurch in a couple of weeks, and it's straight, I've got a, you know, straight into the GP and all of that. So, and you can get free counselling through your GP, and so it's, so that's that.
Thank you for sharing that. That's like, when I was a primary school social worker, every parent that came in with a child who was experiencing some kind of mental health low would be like, I just don't even know like where to start, or I wasn't expecting this at this stage. Like it can be quite a confronting thing, and but it's really a lot more common than I think most people realize. You know, that
the anxiety, it's anxiety, like as kids and you know, things like that. It's just, it's so there, but it's, I guess it's like, you know, it's similar to ADHD in women and anxiety and things like that. I had anxiety growing up 100% the whole way through, but no one knew what it was. No one talked about it. No one, like, you know, yes, we knew that anxiety was a thing, but not just in your average teenager. You know, it's things like that. And I guess now we know this. And same with the ADHD. My anxiety and my ADHD went hand in hand all through high school, all through being a young adult. And they kind of, I guess, masked each other. So it wasn't till I was older that I was like, oh my God, I've got anxiety. And then it wasn't till I was older that I was like, oh my God, that was ADHD, you know?
Yes. So, 100%. Yeah, and I think like, so I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety at 16, and then looking back, I like looked back right down to literally starting school, and I could track anxiety back to like literally new entrant age. So it was always there. We just didn't know that it was there. And so the fact that if your child, you can recognize anxiety in your child, that's actually a way better step than pretty much any of the support that our age group had.
Yeah, and I think, again, like the open dialogue and the communication and conversations, it takes it from being a really scary taboo thing for him. You know, it gives him power to what it is as well. I think that if we were to just look at it as, we don't want to label this, we don't want to, you know, we'll just ignore it and it will go away. It doesn't go away. It just becomes more stressful for the child, and they learn how to mask, and they learn how to not show you it, and they learn that it's shame and it's secretive and it's, so yeah, that's another, I think, really important part to it as well, is giving him that autonomy over it. Like, he knows what it is. He can recognize it. He can tell us. We can help him through it, you know?
Yeah, totally. And it's that, like, you know, the duck with the legs paddling under the water, like, even if they look fine on the surface, like, they're on the road to burnout under that, under the surface. And that was me my whole life, basically, just purely based on probably more the just general society not having as much awareness or knowledge around it, not necessarily like my parents ignoring it, but I probably didn't know how to. It was so new, like it was like, you know, they wouldn't have been able to pick it up either. So, or even like my parents did pick it up, but you know, this was 15 years ago. Like there just wasn't like funding for moderate anxiety. You know, they're just like the setup wasn't there for kids like me that like I wasn't severe, I wasn't self-harming.
It was either really severe or just like, you'll be right.
Or like, okay, well, she's still doing well at school, so she'll be okay. Like, yeah, totally. So thank you for sharing that, because I know that like a lot of parents will have experienced it as well, and hearing you be able to talk about it is, as much as you're like, I'm an open book, it's still very helpful and generous of you. So thank you.
You're welcome.
The final question is, if you were listening to this podcast on the day you became a parent, what would you want yourself to hear?
That breastfeeding is the worst, but it will get better.
I'm with you on that.
You
literally just watched me bottle feed.
I just think, again, being a younger parent, the one thing I didn't feel like antenatal class taught me it. People, again, we didn't have a lot of friends with children. And breastfeeding is one of the hardest things you'll do. And if you don't know that, it's like, there's just like, don't talk about it. Like, don't tell anyone it will hurt. Like, if they don't know, then like they'll do it. And I think that it's the opposite. If you communicate that and talk about that and take the taboo away from that. If I knew it was going to be hard, I would have been like, okay. But I was so horrifically not ready for breastfeeding. I thought it would be, everyone was like, it's so beautiful, you're meant to do it, and now I'm meant to, and it's like smush, and it's so amazing. And actually it was so fucked. Hated it. But then I remember when my mum came to visit when Rocky was a few days old, and I was like, I don't feed off this boob. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't use it, it hurts. And she's like, that's not how this works, babe. She literally like got me.
She's like, you actually should probably use both.
She like milked me, this boob, and was like, we've got to get that out. I remember she gave me a flannel and was like, you've got to milk this. Anyway, I did. And then I guess once I realized that, like, it's a new thing. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Your baby doesn't know what they're doing. It is, imagine. I just think back to, so my mum was Karatani nurse, and like, you go back, like, not that I'm recommending this, but there's a reason why women used to like, did you know they used to like use a wire brush on them to toughen up their nipples before they'd start breastfeeding? That was like a real common thing. So, like, obviously that's fucked, but actually in my brain it makes sense. Like, because...
it makes perfect sense. I'm like, ow, but it makes sense.
I'm not going to do it, and I don't recommend you do it. But, like, things like that, I'm like, that makes sense, because you're prepping it ready, you know? Like, and I just don't think, breastfeeding, it does get better. No. But for a lot of people, it doesn't. For a lot of people, and fucking breast ain't best. Breast is best, but also ain't. Like, I probably shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
No, do you know what I mean?
Like, no. I actually, you know that trend about like propaganda I'm not falling for?
Yeah.
I posted breast is best under that and had like 5 lactation consultants be like, you're spreading medical misinformation. I'm like, there's a lot of nuance to why I'm saying this, but yeah.
I have only ever had beef on the internet, I think, one time, and it was over breast is best. Had this was, oh my God, years ago, and this person who was really big on the internet at the time just posted the most horrific things about World Breastfeeding Week, and basically saying that all of these other things are wet nurse, donor milk, all of this should be used before formula. And I lost my fucking shit at this person. And I, as someone who's breastfed all of her children, you know, like, and I was like, fuck you. And we had beef for years after this, and I think it's so funny, but so sad. She was a very extremist person, but it was just, that was so wild to me. And this was, you know, going back. Hopefully now it's a bit more relaxed. Again, you get to a point as a parent, as a mother, where you don't just stop buying into shit. Like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. I don't give a fuck what I'm, you know, like, you just stop caring. But I do think that, you know, way back when you cared about everything, like, you would just feed so much like Pinterest worthy mothers on Instagram, when that was your only option to consume media like that. And that's why I started doing what I did, because no one was just saying, fucking, I've got hemorrhoids and they suck. Like, everyone was like, this ass is beautiful. And I was like, okay, well, how's your asshole? Because it probably sucks. Like, let me tell you, you probably have an anal fissure right now.
Yeah, so, exactly. And there's just so many things like that. Like, there's just no way anyone's getting through like pregnancy and childbirth and postpartum without some of that shit. And it's so annoying that there are people that like...
Not just first time mother. I thought I was the fucking, my kids split and this and that. And then I remember just saying, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, your kid sucks, you suck, like, settle down, get off your soapbox. Like no one cares. And yeah, I just think that would be also my other podcast would be don't fucking listen to anyone. Who cares? Like stop obsessing. Like it doesn't matter. Like nothing matters. The internet's fucked. Like my job's fucked. Like influencers are fucked. Like it's just not yeah, it's just not worth your energy and your time. Enjoy your baby.
It is crazy though, like I am objectively someone who has all of the information. Like I'm a social worker, a child social worker, then I was a hospital social worker, and still like when I made the decision to switch from breastfeeding, because after my postpartum hemorrhage, I've had like actual really terrible birth trauma from that. I'm like actively working through it at the moment, but like my mental health was just shocking, like shocking. I had so much like self-shame because I was like, I should know how to deal with this. Like if anyone should know how to deal with this, it should be me. But it's like no one is immune to like trauma.
No, and no one.
But that.
And on paper, you know all
like,
the things.
Sorry,
in theory, you know all the things. But once it's happening to you, it's a completely different thing. Like you could know everything about something, and then you're thrown in there, and it's like, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And like when I made the choice to switch from, because breastfeeding was just like fucking taxing, and like Max was a big girl, she was like 9 pounds 6, so she was just like hungry as anything, and I was like, I actually just can't do that. Like I just do not have the energy. You know, the recovery from postpartum hemorrhage, you're just like actually on the ground depleted.
See, I didn't have a baby, so like I can only imagine what it would be like if you.
So I was just like, I'm a zombie, like an actual zombie. And so when I made the decision to switch to formula, I was like fucking wrecked about it, because I still, even though my LMC was amazing and like my partner's amazing, like I still had all the messaging about how like I was not giving my child breast milk, and so then when these lactation consultants come into my DMs and have none of that context and are like, you're spreading medical misinformation, I'm like, I mean, I can chat to you about why breast was not best for my family, but you don't care to listen to that.
It's so wild. Just but I just love that we have the platform can be used for, you know, all of the things. I've literally got a highlight on my Instagram of me harvesting cholesterol. Like my tit is out on my Instagram.
I love that
page because
like you don't know how to do it. You don't see anyone doing it.
And this is where I have no shame. I don't give a fuck. Like I don't care. I fought Instagram who tried to take it down as like pornography. I was like, stop trying to sexualize breastfeeding, and they gave it back. And it's still there. People message me and they're like, oh my god, I send this to people all the time, and I forget it's there. My whole tit is out on the internet, and I'm just milking myself. It's amazing.
You know, like when you're a first-time mum pregnant and someone says, okay, try harvesting your colostrum, you're like, what do I do? Like, you don't know how to do that.
And so
the
that's ADHD,
awesome. I've never even thought about that.
I on it and became an expert and was like, well, I'll share this with the people. So that's how committed I am to the piece of just saying it how it is and giving the people what they need.
I love that. I'm so, so grateful. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I'm so glad people like you exist on the internet, because boy, do we need you in the influencer space. You are truly a breath of fresh air. For people who don't know, what happens now is we head over to my Substack and Rebecca answers a secret 6th question. But if you're not subscribed, then this is the end of the episode today. So thank you so much for joining us. And now we're in the Substack. Wow, what a change. How exciting. So, the secret 6th Substack question I have chosen for you today is, you've spoken a lot about your surrogacy journey and the revitalisation of Te Reo Māori and Te Ao Māori in your family. Was there any part of Te Ao Māori that you drew on throughout your surrogacy journey?
Not really, only because we weren't at that point with the surrogacy. The surrogacy kind of came from, before that. So, the Reo Māori, Te Ao Māori, revitalisation, reclamation, all of that is quite a new thing. Started that in, so what are we? We're probably just coming up 3 years since we started that, and prior to that we had like nothing, like zero. We basically started from scratch.
So did Rocky and Ruby not go through kohanga or kura?
No. Rocky and Ruby were in mainstream kura oraki mainstream schooling in Christchurch. We're talking, if you're not familiar, especially now having
very white.
if you are now having experienced schooling in Tamaki Makaurau in Auckland, wild. And our school in particular was a very non-diverse white school, basically. It was very,
Pākehā Central.
very Pākehā. So we did, so they were there in a great school. It was perfectly fine. We had no issues with the school itself. We did, so what were we? Ruby was year 3 and Rocky was year 5 when we pulled them out of mainstream English medium pathway schooling. And so now for context, so 3 and 5 now we're year 5 and year 7. So what's that, like 3 years, right? So prior to that, literally the kids could probably say kia ora morena whānau and probably aroha. Like, I'm not even kidding you. These kids were fucking white as fuck. I probably had the most out of the kids, Jared and myself. And we had nothing. I was the driving force behind that. Jared's real chill. He just goes with the flow. He's very, very easy. Just kind of.
Because sorry, forgive my ignorance on this. Do you both whakapapa Māori?
Also, I'm Pākehā. And Jared whakapapa Māori. So the kids do via Jared. I'm as white as they come. So, we were able to we have we're a very diverse friend group, and are very lucky to call some incredibly intelligent Māori people very close friends. And we were away at something with a bunch of friends, and a conversation came up about, kohanga and all of these things and blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of sat there and was like, okay, so we need to get to kohanga. That's like, this Aggie was a little baby at this point. But I also knew there was huge wait lists for kohanga, and we only have, I think, about 5 in Christchurch. So it's hard everywhere, but obviously like we're more limited probably in options. And we got back to Christchurch, and I think Aggie must have been almost coming up 1. It must have been, or just turned 1. And I said to Jared, right, I've found the closest kohanga to us that's logistically going to be the easiest to get to. I said, you need to ring them. I said, I'm not ringing them because I just was like, I'm not going to be like, can't speak Māori.
Hi, my name's Rebecca, and I want my kid to come to your kohanga. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not ringing them. Like, I'm not doing it. And he was like, yeah, fine. So he rang them. And they were like, yeah, we can take her in like 2 weeks. And I was like, what?
Amazing.
So, just a right place, right time. Like, I truly believe this for us was meant to be. Right place, right time. We went and had a look, and it could have been the worst fucking place in the world. I still would have said yes, just, but it was amazing. So we got her in. She started when she was 1. And again, now you just can't get in Christchurch. You can't get in anywhere. So like, you're on wait lists for years, or you need to have a connection, So the most incredible action of fate that we got in. And then Aggie had been there for a couple of weeks, and I went to our first whānau hui, and I came home that night and said to Jared, I was like, nah, this is not it. We're not doing enough. I said, the kids don't give a shit right now, but one day they're going to be old enough to know that they missed out. And I said, I'm not having our kids ask how come they didn't get the same opportunities that Aggie gets. I was like, we're not doing it.
Yes.
So within weeks, I had found a new school for them, and that we'd moved schools. And that was like terrifying for these, and again,
it's a big step.
Yeah. Going back to my parenting style, like they were included in all of the conversations and all of the, basically we said, look, this is going to happen, but you're also going to be included in this. But at the end of the day, you don't have to like us for making this decision for you, but you will understand one day. And they don't hate the idea of it, but like they're leaving the school, their friends, everything they know. And we're like, also, you're going to learn a new language, like surprise.
Yeah.
And they don't give,
by the way,
they don't give a shit. Yeah. So what if they were year 5 and year 3? They were like, what's that? 9 and 6, 7. Like they didn't understand why we were doing it. Like they were just like, what do you mean? And probably harder for Rocky, who was 9 at the time. So he was old enough to understand. But we found a school that's kind of 20 minutes out of town. And a Tuahiwi school has been incredible. We put that they're a Māori medium school, so the whole school speaks, I think it's 60% of reo has to be spoken daily. They also have a Rūmaki unit, so there's also another half, or not even a unit, like half the school is Rūmaki, which I think is meant to be like 90% spoken.
So almost full immersion.
Yeah, it's almost full immersion. So they call it full immersion, but it's kind of, there's a bit of leeway there, I guess, just to yeah, whatever. So they went there and I think we were it was after term 1, so they did 3 terms in this Māori medium setting, and then I went to the school and said I had convinced myself it was too late for Rocky, that he was too old, and I remember talking to a teacher and they were like, why? And I was like, well, like, he's too old, he'll never pick it up, like, you know, I've just accepted that. And she was like, but who told you that? I was like, well, no one. And she's like, exactly. So I went to the school and was like, look, I really want them to both move into Whitirea next year. And they were like, okay. So then they did. So Rocky's coming up his third, or both kids are coming up their third year. At the end of this year, it will be their third year of full immersion of Rumaki. Ruby has absolutely like insanely thrived. She has like skyrocketed. This girl could say like 5 words, like I said 3 years ago, and she now has an interview for Kura Kaupapa in a couple of weeks. Like, she's gone from us being told like it's way too late, you'll never, to her probably going to Kura Kaupapa. Like, that is just, it's
so
such
amazing.
It's so, I like to tell this story because I want as many people to know that it's not too late, and that if you just make the commitment, and there's a lot of privilege that comes with it. I fully appreciate that as well. You know, I'm self-employed, so I was driving an hour round trip every morning to get to Kohanga and to get to Kura. And so I understand that not everyone can do that. There's so much privilege involved in just being like, we're just going to move our kids. You know, you've got neurodivergent, you've got all of these things that you can't just move a child, but at the same time there's definitely people that will be using, and again I talk from my like being Pākehā. I also don't want to talk out of place where I'm saying like Māori whānau Māori need to do this. It's more I hope it inspires people to go, oh, maybe we can do that, or it's not too late, or maybe we can just make these small changes or something. And again, it's getting harder and harder to even get into Māori medium environments, like, which is a whole nother fucking kaupapa that I could yap about. Like, we're not creating accessible spaces for whānau Māori. Like, at the end of the day,
no,
we're not. And when I say we know who I mean.
Yes, we do.
So it's just, but I just hope that if people can see that we did it from nothing, that other people can as well. Like, the kids, like, they're so much better for it. Again, going back to parenting style, like, they've got more empathy. They're in Te Ao Māori. Everything in their kura is, even if you could just get your kids to a school that's more Te Ao Māori focused, and that respects the environment, and that respects the language, that's better than nothing, you know? Like, I don't want a tokenism fucking Māori language week pepeha. I want my kids to be culturally safe, have their school be culturally aware, and all of those things. Like, I think that even those baby steps make such a big difference. But yeah, we are kind of, I guess, proof that we did it. And I'm going to be a fucking hysterical mess when Ruby starts school, because I just can't, my brain can't comprehend that 3 years ago this little girl could say nothing, and now she's in a space that is designed for her, that is going to support
amazing
her and give, you know. And Rocky, he's not going to get to that point, he doesn't want to, and that's fine, because that's too much for him. He will still have more, and hopefully will become a level of fluency that, you know, has a dual language, just with Jared being able to korero at the home as well. But it's so much bigger, you know. People can't understand it. Why would you do that? Why would you drive? I had friends say, why would you drive for 20 minutes out of your way there and back every morning when you don't have to? Remember, we live in Christchurch. We don't have to sit in traffic.
Right. And I'm like, why would you have to? Because it's Auckland.
It's so much bigger than that. People don't realise, like, we're changing a whole generation. Like, what our family is doing right now means that our grandchildren will immediately go into that, and that their grandchildren will, and that the language that was lost from my husband's family is now back again. Like, it's so much bigger than just what we're doing for our children, because our children aren't even going to reap the full rewards of it. It's the next generation that will. It's our mokopuna. It's all of that. There's so much more to it, and people can't.
It's that, like, planting seeds that your grandchildren, like, of trees that your grandchildren will sit under.
And for people to not understand that only tells me that they're coming from a position of privilege where they've never had to worry about that. They've never had to worry that their kid's not going to learn fucking English, you know? Like, they don't. It's just this, it's such a put the shoe on the other foot, and people can't. They're so stuck in their mindset because they don't see the bigger picture, and it doesn't affect them. And if it doesn't affect you, you don't care. So Yeah, that's kind of our and then we currently live in Tamaki, which I've spoken to a little bit in the without much context, where my husband is studying full time in a full immersion environment. He's at Takiura, which is a really cool kura and up here, where he will come out of that with and it's called a level of fluency in Te Reo Māori diploma or something. So he'll basically come out with a pretty high level of fluency. It takes a long time to become fluent. I used to be like, oh yeah, we're going to be fluent, and now I've since realized that fluent's a very broad spectrum, and
definitely.
I've got friends that I would consider to be completely fluent that are still doing level 7, this and that constantly. Like, you're constantly learning if you didn't have it from. And again, going back to like, you know, our friend support network, like we have, you know, it's everything. We have the most amazing, I went to one of my really good friends, Moko Papa, maybe 2 years ago. The kids had just moved kura, and even again, being there, they're so supportive. And you know, she proofreads all of Jared's stuff at Takiura. Like, I think that you've got to surround yourself, again, going back to baby steps, you've got to surround yourself by like-minded people. And that goes for anything. If I was a raging hippie, I'm only going to hang out with fucking hippies. If I was
100%.
all of those things, it's the same thing. So we are constantly putting ourselves, our whole motto when we started was, it doesn't matter how uncomfortable it makes us feel, we have to say yes. So anything we were invited to, we went to a kōrero that said it was for all levels, literally before we knew anything, when the kids had just moved, and we knew nothing, and everyone else was like fluent, and we were like, fuck, cool. And it was so uncomfortable, but it was so amazing. I met so many people doing that. You just have to put yourself in situations that, even if it's scary and terrifying, you've just got to do it and say yes. Like, you only learn and grow through uncomfortableness when it's this kind of a scenario.
The thing, no, like, change or growth happens and is completely comfortable the whole time. Like, even starting a podcast has been wildly uncomfortable majority of the time, but it's like been so worth it. And you can apply that to literally any positive change in your life. It is not going to be comfortable.
Yeah. And like, Rocky played there's a league tournament. I always think of this as well. In a league tournament, it's called Pacific Series. So it's like all like your Samoa, Māori, Fiji, all these different teams from around the Pacific. You just make them up, like, you know, in Christchurch. And the first year we went, so he's played last year and he played the year before. It's in November. And the first year we went, we fucking knew like no one, and we were just like there for a second. The next year we went, we knew like fucking 50% of the people that were there. And this is a huge tournament. And it's just little moments like that keep you going. Like, I remember being at the tournament and saying to Jared, I said to him, like, remember last year we knew no one, and now like this is our community? And it's just things like that, especially somewhere like Christchurch. But it's just things like that, is just constantly having the kids surrounded by their people and their culture and their language, and it being normalized, because you don't hear it in Christchurch. I think that's really important. Within weeks of us being here, I was at the playground and I heard a whānau that could kōrero Māori, right? I could never tell you hand on heart, before we were put in these situations where we actively seek out and we are around like-minded people, I could never tell you of a moment I've heard someone speak Māori just in Christchurch, at the supermarket, at the park, at the playground, anywhere. Never. I've never heard it, right? And like, I'm not someone in really white spaces either. And so I think that's really important too, is that knowing where we live and where we've chosen to settle is making sure the kids feel like their whakapapa and their heritage around them all the time.
Yeah, totally. It's like, it's such a gift. My dad is Dutch and he doesn't have a very strong connection with his family, and he didn't teach us the language. He has the language, didn't teach it to us because of, like, you know, family stuff. And so now I'm trying to learn Dutch on my own. And it's so amazing, like, even, like, you know, because I've always had a Dutch last name. And so I feel like such a fake to, like, have no knowledge of the culture or the language or anything like that. And I can't even imagine what that must feel like for Māori people who are, like, indigenous to a place, who are wearing their culture on their skin, and there'd be all these preconceived ideas and assumptions of what they know and what they have and how they whakapapa and like how much cultural knowledge they have. You must just feel so like disjointed in your identity and sense of self, and the idea that you're like have made such deliberate ideas or like made such deliberate moves which are like uncomfortable for you and like, you know, make you go out of your way and, you know, like all these things. It's like not making your life logistically easier, but like being able to see the bigger picture of how much fulfillment that's going to give your children and their children and their children. You know, I just think that's such a amazing and like broad-minded way to parent.
Yeah. And again, when people have said like, why would you do that? Like, why would you make your life harder just for that? They don't understand. But also because I can, and because I have the privilege of having time to do that and all of these things, and I want to do that now. We are like financially ruined living in Auckland. Like, this is fucking killing us. But now my children don't have to do that. You know, that's to me, that is being a parent. That is what we're making sacrifices, and other people are making sacrifices in other ways. And it might be, you know, whatever it is. But our sacrifice right now is that our children are going to know their identity. They're going to stand strong in their Māoritanga. They're going to know the language. They're going to know all of these things. And it's just, and I always tell people, because I do get people like, not come at me, but people, you know, and I basically can shut anyone down by telling a story that there is a woman, she runs a consultancy agency. Her name's Janelle Ricky, and she is from the education sector. She's incredible. And years ago, before I knew her, I watched a video about her, and now I kind of know her through the internet. She's from Christchurch as well. And it was basically, it said that New Zealand is one of the only countries in the world where you don't have access to your culture. So basically, like, you know, our children also whakapapa Chinese, like Jared's a real cultural melting pot. So I could say tomorrow, right, I want my children to learn their Chinese heritage and their language, and we could go move to China. They're also Samoan. I could go to Samoa tomorrow and their language is alive and thriving and doing well. I could go to, you know, so many fucking their German ancestry. I could go to Germany tomorrow and they could learn that. There is nowhere they can go to learn Māori apart from here, and it's not easily accessible. It's not all around them. It's not on signage. It's not on, do you know what I mean? Like, and so whenever I tell people that, it really sinks in. It's my one thing that I've found really sinks in for people, because they don't think about it like that. It's like if I was to go to France and be like, why the fuck have you got French signs?
Yes.
People, when you say things like that, they're like, like
it's so strange to me that this is even a conversation of like, we have too much te reo Māori. Like, what are you talking? It's the language of this country. What are you talking about?
And it's so sad because it's colonization, right? And then we've got a government that's upholding colonial views and
actively still colonizing the country.
Yeah. So it's just, I can't wait. Again, I can't wait for, you know, my children that I'm raising in activism and in allyship and in writing social injustices and all of those things. I can't wait for them to be adults. Ruby is going to fucking kick ass. She will fuck shit up. Eggie. We don't even want to know what Eggie's going to do, but same with
I can't wait to see all the Keil kids in government one day.
This is it. Like, how lucky, as sad as it is, how lucky are we that we have that whānau that whakapapa Māori are having to put so much. It's sad that this is happening, but I just think that the ones that get it, their children are going to be incredible and are going to change this country.
The world.
And I just think that it's shit that they can't just exist in their land and with their birthright, with their mother tongue. But I love that they get to, that these kids are going to fuck shit up.
And like, it's such a quality of Māoridom that they're like, you can literally try anything to oppress me and I'm not going to let you. And I love that quality exists through the generations. And like, no matter how hard Pākehā have tried to stamp it out, like, it's still alive and well. It's like the ultimate fuck you to colonialism, and I love it. But it sucks that it's the way that it exists, but it's like such an inherent trait of Māoridom that it's like, we're still here anyway. Like, so good. So good. And I love that we're already seeing that, like, in Aggie, who's like 3, that we're already seeing that trait, like, so strong in her. It's so good.
But also her just knowing exactly, like I said, we talked about this previously, but her at Kohanga, literally telling her teacher, can you just speak Reo Pākehā to me? Like, she'll say to us, I'm not Māori. I don't want to kōrero Māori today. She's like, kōrero Pākehā. She'll like say that to us, and it's so funny. And I love that because She just fucking knows who she is in the moment. And today she's Māori and tomorrow she's Pākehā. And it's so funny. And I just think the confidence for a 3-year-old to like call an adult out
beautiful.
on that is just so cool. I love it. It's so great. And the goal is that they can coexist, that they can exist both in a real Pākehā world and a Te Ao Māori world, and a Pākehā
and that it's not. They don't have to be one or the other.
They're not compromising anything, you know? Like
that they're both, and that's great. Yeah.
And it's cool. It's going to be really cool.
That's so amazing. I love that answer. Thank you so much. I've taken up so much of your time and I'm so grateful. Like the insights that you've given. No, I know. Sorry. I know it's me. I should cut people off, but I don't want to because it's so good.
I'm fine. It was like, oh my God, I talk much and I just make things really long. But hopefully
it's so good. And I'm actually like, that answer was so good. I think I'm not going to keep it to just the Substack. I think I might just release it on the main episode because it was such good answers. Thank you for that, and it's an important conversation to have. Like, you know, we've had Rangera Proctor on the podcast who like he was raised in kura and he's raised his kids in kura, and so I just think it's quite a different perspective to have not grown up with the language, and then, you know, like it's just a different perspective. And so I think both equally valid journeys but very different journeys, and so I'm really glad that we heard that kind of like coming to language later and like making that choice for your family a little bit later, I think is really important. So thank you for your insight and your laughs and your warmth and all the good things. And if people want to find you on the internet, where would they find you?
So you can find me on the Instagram because I'm a geriatric. I call it the Instagram, and it's Rebecca J Keil, which is Keil. I'm also dabbling the TikTok, but I just don't really do that. But come find me there.
Yeah, the TikTok freaks me out a little bit, to be honest.
I know, I'm trying to get but it seems so fun for other people. So I'm like, when will it get fun for me?
It hasn't for me yet. I love watching it. I'm just not good at
it. Yeah, same. I live on there. It's my favourite. Yep. It's my favourite. I love it.
Me too. It's so good for my doom scrolling.
Why do you parent like that?
Thank you for listening to this episode of Why Do You Parent Like That? Why Do You Parent Like That is created by me, your gal, Abby Harrison. Huge love and snuggles to my gorgy nephew and niece, Thomas and Francis, for lending their voices to my jingle, as well as a massive thank you to the iHeartRadio Podcast Network team for giving this little pod a place to call home. Be sure to follow our socials to stay up to date with podcast happenings, as well as chaotic insights to my life. If you have a story that you reckon would be neat to share on the pod, flick me an email at whydoyouparentlike.that podcast@gmail.com. Love you. Say it back.
Why do you parent